Alright, so I'm going to go over bringing in a sketch or a drawing into Illustrator to kind of use as a template to trace over or draw on top. Now you could just as easily have your image either physically with you or in a file that you bring up periodically and just kind of reference that, but I'm going to show you this method because for some people it works really well. So the first thing we need to do is open up our layers panel because we want to keep track of the different layers that we're going to be working on. So whenever you need to trace over something, there's kind of a good rhyme that I remember and I've caught on with. It's called place to trace. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to File and go down to Place. We can also do Shift, Command, and P. And this is where we're going to find our sketch that we scanned in and or modified in another program. I'm going to grab my icon sketch and then I'm going to hit Place. So once you do that, you have an image loaded on a cursor. And what the computer wants you to do is drag a marquee where you want this image to go. So I'm going to just start up here in the corner of my artboard and click and drag, and I'm just going to fill up the extent of the artboard. So now that I have that in place, I can actually use my arrow keys to shift this around. I could also click inside of it with my cursor and kind of move this into place. So I'm going to get it about approximate because I know that at any time as I'm working I can always start to move around the vector paths. So that looks good right there. I can click outside of the artboard. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that sketch that I just placed. Now whenever you place an image down, it is linked to the original file. That means if I move that original file around or I modify it, that's going to change how this is displayed. If I want to know exactly how files are being linked in here, I can go to Window and Links, and there you can see in my links I have icon sketch, and we'll go over this in future exercises, but just know that when things are linking, they have a destination or an origin that they came from, and you can always reset that. The benefit of this is you can work on different files in other programs, and if you happen to place them in Illustrator, they will update through this links panel. I'm going to go ahead and close the links panel, and instead of linking this, because I know I'm not going to be modifying or changing this file, I'm going to go ahead and embed the file. So right up here in your control panel, look for the embed button and go ahead and click that. And so now I have a file that no matter where I go or where I put that original sketch, this is going to stay inside the file. The next thing I need to do is I need to lock down this layer, and I want to bring down the transparency or visibility so I can draw on top of it. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my layers panel, and I'm going to double click right next to that layer 1 name. That brings up my layer options. I'm going to go ahead and name this icon 1. And what I need to do here is I need to set it as a template. So I'm going to check template right here. And then it'll ask, do you want to dim your images? In this case, it's the icon sketch that we placed in. I do want to dim the image, and I usually like to dim it actually around 30 to 20%. So I'm going to go ahead and type in 30 and then click OK. So you can see when I did that, it changed the type of layer that sketch is on. It's no longer a regular drawing layer, it's called a template layer. It's locked, and the visibility is now lowered on here. At any time I can go back into this layer and I can bring it back to its original state. But in this case, I want to keep this as a template. I want to keep the transparency low, so I'm actually bringing it down to 25. So when I'm ready to start drawing, I actually need to create another layer on top. So I'm going to create a new layer, and just to demonstrate how I might start working on something like this, it seems like the container is a strong element to start with. So I'll go over here and click my shape tools, find my ellipse. I can also hit the L key, and I will go ahead and hold down the Alt, hold down the Shift, and I'll start creating a circle. I can also hold down on my space bar to move that circle around. Now because this is on a pixel grid and it's snapping to the grid, it's snapping into a position that aligns to that grid. I'll go ahead and release the mouse first, and then release the keys. I'll hit D for default colors, and I will cross out the fill. So there you go.